Welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to be showing you how to paint an exterior wooden porch so you can obtain professional and modern results. Please stay tuned and continue watching until the end because we're going to show you the entire process of how we painted all these benches, these upper 2x6s that we applied stain, and also this outer perimeter board that we painted in a white color, the railing in black, and the top was stained. And then we added some curtains. Those are the benches after everything was fully completed, all of the upper 2x6s. And so by all of this, you're going to be able to obtain some beautiful results so you can enjoy with your family or for a business. If you want to learn how to do all kinds of DIY projects and home renovations, including how to paint or apply stain like we're going to be doing today, then you're in the best place here on YouTube, since that's all we do here at Frank's Handyman Service. Consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and activate the notification bell so that way you don't miss out on any future videos that we're going to be uploading. I just finished showing you all of the entire covered porch area. These are all of the basic hand tools that we're going to be utilizing to paint all of the areas. We have a couple of gallons. This is the black paint that we use for the railing. It's from Behr Ultra Stain Blocking Paint and Primer. This is for the railing. And the first thing I decided to paint was this upper exterior trim. And the reason is because this was a little harder than the rest of the areas. The only thing I'm using for this is a 3-inch angled Purdy brush, and I'm just painting straight from the can. I had one of my other workers paint this the day before, but he didn't paint the trim or the cut. He didn't cut in the line right where it meets with the metal at the top, and so I just had to come in and give it a second application. And I'm just taking my time little by little, moving the ladder as far as I can reach, since it's actually like a laminate material, the cover. It rests on top of that exterior trim. Therefore, I have to be very careful when I'm painting close to that. So, but as long as you take your time, and this is where that angled brush comes in very handy, you can just paint along that edge as close and as careful as possible. And thankfully, with all of this, I avoided to paint that upper laminate area. And then in the bottom, as I'm painting the board, I just swipe it down. So I'm only painting the face of this wood. Later on the bottom portion, I'm gonna apply the stain, which I'll show you here a little bit later. And this is just simply a design element that the owner preferred, so that's why we are doing it this way. I had a few challenges painting along this area because I had this awning that's on the right side, and it was a little tight, but I just did the best I could, and thankfully I was able to get through this. This is the highest portion of the porch. It is a lean-to style, and so this is the results after I painted that. Look at how beautiful it came out. All the cut line, it just came out really nice. And in the bottom, it just looks very professional, perfect. So now that I did this, the highest point, I'm gonna go ahead and do this the other end. This one was also a little bit challenging. The reason is I had some construction barriers next to the porch that I had to work around. And I basically just did my best around that. just put my ladder as close as possible to it, and from there I was able to reach all of that part, especially on that upper section. I was just trying to be as careful as possible working along that edge. Once you do that, then I went ahead and painted all of this lower part. I would say that this was the easiest portion of all of this, since it wasn't so high up there. I was able to easily access this and just continue to move forward with everything. But basically, I'm just dipping my paintbrush about halfway through, and I'm just offloading it there. I'm starting at the top where I did the cut line, and I just spread out the paint, and then from there I just make sure it's nice and even coat on all of the surface. Each time I dipped the paintbrush, I was able to advance, I would say maybe like about a foot or a foot and a half of a section. And I just moved my ladder along and just trying to make sure that everything is applied consistently. That's what's going to be the key to getting professional results, is you want to make sure you don't have any drip lines or that it's not too thick applied. And especially at the bottom, like you see the bottom edge, you can tell the line is nice and straight. And this is going to help me out, especially for the later part where I'm going to be applying stain to that area. The business owner purchased like a chocolate colored stain, and that's going to help all of the light wood material look more like the pressure treated wood. And this is the results after I painted all of this lower section. Everything came out nice and beautiful. Nice straight edge along the laminate portion and also at the bottom. The only thing I have left to do here is to do this last edge. And same thing, it was a little bit hard working around here as well because I had that construction barrier. And then since this covered porch is next to the public sidewalk, I had to just place my ladder around all of that as best as possible so I can reach. But this is the final results after I painted all of the exterior trim in a white color. And we did this so that it matches the building color. They have it painted white. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and paint all of the railings. Now the railing, the owner decided to paint them in a black color, and honestly I really liked it. You'll see in the closer to the end how the results, everything came out on the inside, but it just made it look really beautiful, and it just made for a nice environment. To apply this, I'm just using like a 3-inch wide roller. And this roller is special for the exterior and also for rough surfaces. Now, you have a couple of options to paint this. You could either paint all of the cut-in work with your brush first, especially the areas like really close where the pressure-treated boards are, like you would want to cut in those areas with a brush. You could do that first, and then at the end or after that, you can paint with your roller. Or like in my case, I decided to paint everything with the roller first, and then at the very end, I'm just going to go in there with my paintbrush and do all those cut-ins. And honestly, like, it worked out perfect for me because since I kind of started this later in the afternoon, I didn't have a lot of time to do all of this. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to paint with the roller. And since this is the faster part of the project, because you just basically load up your roller and you paint and you just advance pretty quickly. So I was like, I'm going to paint all of this first. And then in the very end, I'm going to go ahead and do all the cut lines around the posts. So, which, you know, that the cut-in portion, it only took me about 10-15 minutes, so it wasn't bad at all. And my strategy to paint all this railing is I load my roller, and I'm trying to spread it out on the face of the board first, and then any leftover paint, I paint the top and the bottom of each one of the boards. And if I have any excess that kind of goes on the face, then I just give it another swipe there, so I make sure I don't have any runoff or any marks, and just trying to get it as consistent as I can. But this project is pretty straightforward. The only thing you need is you just got to take your time, and you just got to have patience to paint all of this. Not everyone loves to do this kind of work. Some people, it's not their preferred method or their preferred work. So in my case, honestly, I really love this kind of work. So I really enjoy doing it. And especially once you take care of this, you can see the end result. And that's what brings the satisfaction, that you see how it turned out in the end, and you're like, man, this came out really nice. So once I'm finished done painting the interior railing right here, I'm just going to get my paintbrush, the same one that I used for that exterior trim that I painted white. I'm going to get that paintbrush and just cut in those edges around the posts like you see right there. Now, after each thing that I painted, I went ahead and I rinsed my brush. That's one thing that I would recommend. So just in case if you got to use it for a different paint or for whatever, you want to try to keep them clean, so you can just continue moving on. And so this is pretty quick, pretty straightforward. I'm just painting there the little edges around where the posts are, like this right here. I'm painting the top of each one of those boards, and then I'm also going to be painting the bottom there. I'm just cutting it in as best as I can. And this one here was a little challenging, working around this fire extinguisher box. There was a couple of areas where I kind of over painted the box. So the nice thing is I had the rag there available, and with that I'm able to just remove any of that paint from the white box. That's what I recommend for you to have, is a damp rag readily available, just in case if you get any drips, or if you kind of like accidentally paint something that it's not supposed to be. You can just get the rag and wipe it off really quickly, and you can just continue to move on. So once I get done with this is gonna be it for today. I'm gonna paint the railing on the outer portion as well, but I'm not gonna do that till tomorrow, because it's getting pretty late today, and I just want to get home at a good hour. But when I come back tomorrow, I'm gonna be painting the wooden benches, and also the 2x6s that are at the top. I'm gonna be applying a special stain on those. It's called like a chocolate color, and that's gonna help to make it look more like those 6x6 posts that you see right there. And honestly, in the end, it's gonna turn out really nice. So this is the results after I painted all of this railing. You can see everything. I mean, it looks like new. Everything came out really nice and uniform all throughout. So it just changed the whole environment in here by just simply painting this railing. And this is something that anybody could do it. If you want to change the environment, the atmosphere that you have, whether at home or at a restaurant, like in this case, painting, that's what will do it. These are all the 2x6s that I'm going to be painting tomorrow, and all of these wooden benches. Honestly, this is quite a bit of work. There's a lot of detail involved, a lot of boards and everything. So, but right here, I was able to get some help the next day, and we were able to paint all of this wooden railing on the exterior. This one was pretty easy. All we had to do was paint the face, and then just cut in the edges around the posts. Since I had already painted the top and the bottom of all the railing before, and that's how it looks. So now you have the consistency that goes not only on the outside, but it carries through on the inside as well. So Then after that, right here, we're starting to apply that stain. This stain, it also has a sealant on it as well. So this is the only thing that we're going to be applying to this wood. They're basically 2x6s that help to support that laminate at the top. And applying this, the only thing that we're using is a special brush. It's a 3-inch or a 4-inch wide brush, and it's special for the stains and for like exterior painting. So we're just taking our time, dipping our brush into that little bucket, loading it up, and then we're just spreading it along the 2x6. We're also doing all the cut-ins and everything at the same time. So this application, we're only going to be doing it one time. And that's more than enough, because you can tell right here as we're staining it, it's coming out really beautiful, almost like those pressure treated boards that are supporting the structure. And this changed the dynamics of this whole covered porch. It makes it feel more warm, and yeah, it just definitely improved everything. So all of this is very tedious. There's only like a certain speed that you can do, especially since with stain you have to spread it out as best as possible. You definitely don't want any like runoffs or stuff like that, because you will see it very easily throughout this process. And we also had another one of our co-workers help us out. So right here we have two people. One of them is painting on the one side, and then we have this other our other co-workers painting the other side. And we're just going to try to advance as quickly as possible so we can try to get as much done within the 3 days that we had estimated to complete this work. And meanwhile, them two are up there painting or staining. I'm also going to be staining this wooden bench. Now this one, it has a lot of stuff to it. Like you have all of this support that holds up the bench. I'm gonna paint all of the boards on every side, and just anywhere that you can see the bench, I'm gonna be staining it. And with this, I recommend for you to put a drop cloth like you see right here. The reason is every time when I dipped my brush into my bucket and then I would paint, sometimes there would be some drips that fall down. So by having a drop cloth in place, you're going to be able to catch most of those drips, so that way they don't fall on the floor, and then later you got to worry about like cleaning it constantly. So with this, I was able to just continue working and not get held back by those little things. So I'm just taking my time here painting all 4 sides of the boards here that support everything. And once I get completed with this as best as possible, then I flip it over. And I'm just going to do the other side as well. Since I already painted most of the bottom section on the other side, on here, I'm just going to paint whatever's left. Whatever details that I couldn't get or whatever, I'm just going to give it a pass through. Then once I'm done with that, I can paint the top of the bench, of the seats. And then I'm going to paint the tabletop as well. I would say this is like the easiest part, since all you got to do is just spread out that sealant on the surface and then just brush it out as best as you can. Now you want to do strokes that are from one end to the other. You want to try to avoid not to like stop in the center or halfway through or a third of the way through or whatever. Like you can do that in the beginning when you kind of apply the material, but then afterwards I recommend for you to swipe from one end to the other so you have a nice consistent brush, so you don't see any of those marks. But you can definitely do this project with a special brush, and the other way is you can use a sponge. Some of my other coworkers, they preferred and they like to use a sponge instead. I told them, you know what? I mean, you can use that. You can use a brush, whatever works best for you. But just make sure that you spread everything out and that you don't have any runoffs and that you don't have any like thicker parts or whatever. You just want to make sure that it looks nice and consistent. And that's what I was doing here. I was making sure that I take a look at everything before I drop this bench down. And once I was happy with the results, then I'm just going to paint this upper tabletop and everything like the other one. And that's pretty much a wrap. But in this covered porch restaurant, I think we had about like 5 benches that we had to paint. So each one of these, I think it took me about 30 minutes. So I was able to paint a few of them, and then also my dad was able to help me out. But this is the results after I stained all of this bench. You can see how it definitely changed. It just looks very rich color. And we just have to let this sit for one day. And the next day they can come in and they can use it for their seating. Then after that, my other workers, they left to another job site, so I had to come back here and paint whatever was left. I would say I probably spent here about 4 hours to do all of this detail work. I just had to paint both sides of this couple boards, the edges as well. All of this stuff, it's just time consuming. But like I said, I really love this kind of work. I have the patience, and I just take my time doing it, and I enjoy seeing the results at the very end. So once I get done through all this, that's pretty much the whole project right here. With this, you know, we basically painted the exterior trim around the top. We painted all of the 2x6s so that way it looks more similar to the pressure treated boards. I painted all of the railing black on both sides. The upper portion of the railing was stained. And this is the results after we got done with everything. Then the owner, he placed some really nice white curtains there. It will help to block out the sun and just give it a more, just like a luxury look, or a more beautiful environment. So that's pretty much the step-by-step process of how you can paint a covered porch so you can obtain professional results and also to make it look more modern. We hope you liked this video. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos. May God bless you, and we'll see you on the next one.